Alright, welcome to the week 8 of the Opus Magnum 2020 Opus Magnum Weeklies 2024. This week's puzzle was a computational puzzle by Hello Jasper termed Look and Say, and the task was that you must calculate one iteration of Look and Say sequence. So there's one iron, so one iron, one copper, etc. etc. The metric was weighted sum with but with cycles divided by 5. So it allows you to make slower but cheaper and more compact solves. Let's see how it'll go. Cycles divided by 6, right? At 19th place, we don't start with 70 Storm. Normal Jamu plus normal existing. Where's the... Alright, I'm going to pick the longest note and read it. Encoder and element-wise comparison modules by Jamu. Data packet counts plus values and decoding modules by normal existing. Team name by Jamu. Oh god, please no texture pack by normal existing. Jamu, fun puzzle, smiley face. Our group approached this in a rather weird way, breaking it into 3 chunks. First, we encode the metals into different lengthed quicksilver chains, then use the chains to shift the lead stick to serve as a comparator to check if the 2 quicksilver chains are different. After that, we decode the quicksilver chains and output the lead sticks used for comparison into these modules that has 2 branches plus 2 pieces of lead. Use it for promotion, and these 2 branches of quicksilver are used, one for the metal that symbolizes the repeat, and one for the metal itself, and outputs. This is both of us' first computation puzzle, and we had quite a bit of fun, parentheses, question mark, parentheses closed. This puzzle is quite awesome sauce. I'm sorry, Zorblab. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Yes, this is just... I'm going to solve the puzzle, solve. So yeah, as advertised, there are these modules appearing in here, which is then one branch is promoted as a count, the other branch is promoted as the metal itself. this side, each metal is matched with a Ravalis wheel, and then Quicksilver is, and then Quicksilver rods are bonded together with each length of each rod showing the rank of the metal. I don't know what this part is doing, but I believe they have released 3 custom levels on the Steam Workshop that shows their approach, as in this all can be divided into 3 modules, and they have published each sub-problem in the Steam Workshop. It's for comparison. I see. Alright, we are going... after I see this outputting, we are going to move on to the next solve. Alright. We're doing that. At 18th place, Nathan F. Stare and Shrike. This is much smaller. I feed the machine more metal as it screams its numbers at me. I do not remember programming the engine to scream, but it does. I can feel it watching me. I feed in more metal. It's never enough. It's still hungry. It keeps striking louder and louder. Its gaze lingers upon me always. I cannot escape it. It screams new numbers. I lie awake at night, feeling it watching me. If I fall asleep, what will the machine whisper to me in my dreams? What does it see? What will it tell me? Anyway, that's a progress report for the department's new alchemical calculator. I probably just need to retighten the screws or something. I'll get it up and running by next Tuesday. Thanks a bunch, Rooney. Yours truly, Alchemist Man. And yes, this was one of the solves that created extreme waste chains. So 3 Ravalis wheel is used to triplicate the target atom. And then it is assembled in this kind of shape. So duplicate atoms are grouped with Quicksilver. Wait a sec. The metrics, right? I'll have to explain because the product. Because I had a different version of the puzzle that had 36 outputs for. Wait a sec. that had 36 output that required 36 outputs for some testing reasons. So the area count might be a lot more inflated than the actually I need to reload the AHK for some reason I will disclose later. Sorry for the delay. Yes, it was measuring area at 36 because I had the wrong puzzle file. Good question, Mr. Royal Spade. This is actually... Notice that the output is modded, the input is also modded. So this is actually 36 cases entirely different from what was being measured. But if everyone I mean well, I mean, Biggie, I had to modify your soul to loop to test your soul, so yeah, this lump, only one atom is taken, and then all other quicksilvers are goes into the projection. I could have just said that if you solve 25, then it's fine, but no. I went the extra effort to ensure that you guys actually did the correct algorithm. But anyway, let's move on to the next solve. At 17th place, Sockboy, Buzzer Beater. Oh god, this is chugging. Yeah, this one also created a lot of waste, as I remember. So it triplicates the atom and then arranges it into quicksilver, gold, and three triplicated atoms. Why is it chugging? I have no idea. Ah, okay, it disposes the Ravaris wheels. Good. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. What? Yeah, this is certainly... Wait a second, this is... My auto-hotkey... AHK is not behaving correctly somehow. Sorry about it. Why these are making 3 copies when I only needed 2? This is definitely not right. Sorry about this. More technical difficulty. Sorry about it. Alright, finally. Alright, at actual 17th place. 70 store. Sorry about this. This also chalks. And she went through a lot of had to fix a lot of errors. And I've seen this solve. I think I've seen this. I watched this solve the longest when I verified it independently. Yes, this is also. I'm going to solve the puzzle solve. She writes somewhat dubious notes about Rick rolls the golden dice. It has 3 phases. 1. Never gonna give you up the digital intelligent coding exhibit. Codec for each metal. Lead equal gold. Tin equals lead plus gold. Iron equals lead plus tin plus gold, and so on. 2. Never gonna let you down. The digital intelligent cloning exhibit. Best clone is made using the codec, apart from gold, which will be attached to each metal of the input. If gold, then attach quicksilver as a marker. Second clone is made with lead and quicksilver. 3. Never gonna run around and desert you. The digital intelligent comparison exhibit. Compares 2 consecutive metals. If metals are same but not gold, it should purify. Then increment the counter by 1. Else, if there is a gold marker, it attaches to the next counter. Else, just insert the next counter. The quicksilver detection mechanism works like this. If that is the first quicksilver on the chain, it won't use it right away, but from the second quicksilver onward, it will feed the gold counter. The moment it stops getting quicksilver, it returns the counter it was attached to in the output string. And yeah, the notes were significantly longer, but it got lost in the revisions. The final issue she fixed is that the disarm did not reset it properly, and so it rested in here. So it eventually collided with the quicksilver swing of disarm. So let's see. Ravaris wheel is rolled into a stick, and each atom is tested by purifying rather dubious face names. In my opinion. And then everything is assembled into 2 sticks, and thing happens. So it is tested with purification mostly, but if it is gold, there's something happens here with the quicksilver. So yeah, duplicated input and read diagonally. If the 2 metal matches, then it instead pulls a quicksilver from here, and then projects the counter. And let's look the output. Nice. But we shall move on. 16th place, Sockboy, buzzer beater. So yeah, triplicates each atom. Each atom is tested for gold. And then the last 2 copies are used to test the quality here. Then the 2 copies of the counter and the copies of inputs are interleaved together. So when an atom purifies, the quicksilver is abducted. So, abducted here, and then I guess this is the counter chain. Yeah, one lead in the counter becomes one quicksilver instead, and the preceding lead gets projected. All right. So we are going to move on to next solve. At 15th place, Slapville. The working solution. They write, I don't know how to lay things out properly, but luckily using way too much track saves a day. The Revaris wheel makes a copy of the input atom so that it can be sent to the output. I was originally going to make 3 copies to compare using purification, but then you can't detect gold, so I had to use sticks instead. There is a consistent anchor point for the stick with arm 1314 to move it to the second station where it moves in reverse, so it has an exact position if the current metal is equal to the last one. Then we just normalize the position and give arm 18 a lead if it wasn't equal. It's just straightforward conditionals from there and not really worth discussing. The main repeating loop to test one quicksilver on the input has an extra 2 cycle delay I added early on just in case I ever needed it. I didn't need it, but I didn't want to figure out how safe it would be to remove it. I was also too lazy to figure out adding a disposal for one of the waste chains, the lead one, probably, despite how it would absolutely be worth it due to how much area these cost. Another approach I considered was making 3 copies of metals anyway, since you can compare including gold compactly with quicksilver, but I felt like that would make the solution actually pretty slow. It would save all the gold I spent on track stuff. At least you could have recycled the quicksilver via input suppression. Oh, and yeah, I'm just noticing that I messed up the formatting on the metrics. So so it's probably all presence absence conditional from here out, I guess. I'm having some problems parsing this soap, to be honest. Speaking of, at 14th place is Mr. Royal Spade, the locksmith. Oh yeah, this one also chokes. Steven-esque soap, in my opinion. Yup, there's a lot of ghost scraps. Oh yeah, I should read the notes. He writes, I'm really proud of this soap. By using conditional projection, I can sort my input by metal type. If it is the best of its kind, it places lead on the projection. If it is not, it uses quicksilver to update the count. If there's no new metal, it sends whatever is on the projection glyph to be decoded by Rabari's wheel. This is the first puzzle where I genuinely worried I wouldn't finish in time. Usually I create a burner soap first, but this time you are seeing my best working solution with zero optimization. I can spot tons of possible improvements, but with so many arms involved, any change would be a major headache. At the end of the day, I play this game to relax, and the time I would need for optimizations would add more stress than fun. Enjoy. P.S. This puzzle was hard, so major congrats to anyone who solved it. When there are same matching atoms, then no, wait a sec. Yeah, definitely. This puzzle was This puzzle was tournament grade difficult. 6 chambers, 1 for each metal. If there's an atom in the top right, it isn't new. If there's nothing in the top right, it is new. I see. But yeah, this is a mesmerizing solve. Right, this is also, right, the comparison with metal calculus, this is pure metal computation puzzle, right? Alright. We are going to move on though. 13th place. Fuyu. Wait a second. Somehow he submitted a worse solve than as his last solve. The notes read, I used the most direct method I could think of to put together the output string. Compare every input atom, apart from the first, with the atom before it, and either increase the value of the current metal counter on the output if there's a match, or attach a lead metal pair to the end of the output if there's no match. I couldn't think of a way to do this comparison directly using the input atoms, since the rules state that only one copy of the input can be put for every output. Instead, the machine first converts the value of the current input atom into a stick of quicksilvers, creates a copy if necessary, and then passes on the stick to be compared with the stick for the previous atom. The sticks are then converted back into metals and then placed on a purifier to check for the match. If there's a match, there will be an atom on the purifier output, and the presence or absence of this atom is used to implement the correct conditionals for the output string. To check for matching goals before converting the quicksilver sticks back into metals, the machine first checks whether there is a quicksilver in the fifth position for each of the incoming sticks, and conditionally passes a lead atom onto the purifier for each goal detected. Very interesting puzzle, and most likely the math and computer gurus in the community have come up with more esoteric algorithms, which I look forward to seeing on stream. So yeah, the hex arm 9 holds 2 quicksilver sticks. Arm 10 and 11 projects 2 lead and then compares whether they are equal or not. And if the length is 5, then the first quicksilver is cut off here, which is used for conditional. Is it possible for that waste chain to be all gold? person who I assume to be Fuyunokaze, welcome to the stream. If you have to dispose Quicksilver, there will be a lead there to promote. Okay, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy your stay. Clean work indeed. Alright, we are going to move on to the next solve though. That's a large drop. X Soccer 888. Teach a gold dog new sticks. Two atoms are tested at the purifier. If they are the same, ARM 3 uses the resulting atom to send a Quicksilver to the reserved lead, then sends it to ARM 5. The rejection station that reduces its level by 1, back to what it was before it was purified. This atom then goes to the left side of the purifier to be tested against the next atom. If they are different, ARM 2 makes a stick with the left atom and the reserved lead, which then gets sent down to ARM 16. Because a purification clip does not test if two gold are the same, ARM 16 tests whether it receives multiple lead gold sticks in a row. Here's the ARM 16. This one. It does this by attempting to project the metal, and if the Quicksilver is remaining, it uses it to send the stick downwards to the bonder. The bonder holds a bit of information. If there is a Quicksilver on the bonder, there is a gold stick to upgrade, and the current one is waste. If there's not, the current stick is the one to upgrade. If the received stick was not gold, it needs to be rejected at ARM 6. Then it collects the current gold stick, clears the bonder bit, and goes to the output. I appreciate that there's only one waste chain in it. Also the idea of the rejection station. This one takes significantly faster than all the previous solves except the Nathan F solve at 1481 cycles. Alright. For 11th place, Avenged Ruler and Skyhawk. Compact. Indeed, that is very compact. By far. Avenged Ruler writes, jobs were roughly split between atom identification and previous atom matching. I worked mostly on the identification side. I originally had a design doing something similar to this, but turning a wheel for every purified result. But it occurred to me later, do we even need the wheel if we are just doing that? To which the answer was no. Quite happy with this setup from a cost and area standpoint. Quicksilver is one of the main limiting factors for us going much lower than this. We had a few other ideas for previous atom matching, but none of them seemed as good as this. So this is surely the best solution possible, TM. Skyhawk writes, this solve probably leans too far towards an area solve, even though cost seems to be more valuable for the sum. However, with this arrangement, it seems like getting fewer arms in position to do more jobs feels like it would require more track than it's worth. For alternatives, I had the idea for doing identification by building sticks of 6 Quicksilver and subtracting as many as needed to turn the atom into gold. But then I have no idea how you would check for matching length sticks. So, since it uses since it uses projection to check for purification, gold can be implied on the purification station. And then the Quicksilver here is the stores the information for what the present atom is, and the Quicksilver on the bundles store information about what the previous atom is. I see. How does this check for 2 in a row? The pivot it does, if it hits with certain way, it'll get 2 Quicksilver instead of 1 on top. I see. Yeah, I see that. If the two atoms in a row are the same, then the Quicksilver gets attached here instead of here. And then there's extra Quicksilver, on the top, like this. And then this can be used to project the counter. this one is about twice as takes about twice as many cycles as the previous one. So we are going to see this output and then move on to the next solve. All right. At 10th place, Coco 52, U solution 50. The drops are getting smaller. You know, these assembly of forearms, it reminds me of, what was it, Biggie's solution to the metal calculus. U solution infinity would be perfect. There's no notes to read, so I'll just going to oh yeah, this is also the first scoring solve that takes 3-digit number of cycles. So the timing info is stored in the hex arms. And then if they match, then there's a quicksilver here. And if it doesn't match, then the stick is not wandered away. I'm still having 6. I'm also seeing. Wait a sec. Alright, we are going to move on though to the 9th place solve. Mr. Piozo. Reactive representation. How do I kick them? Alright, but kicked. The notes. As below, so above, behold Ravari's wheel. lead source tin reactivator, iron comparator, copper counter, silver sink, gold result, and the mercurial mover on which it pivots. Silly poems aside, would you care to explain this confounded contraption? Oh, fine. We start with taking the input metal and converting it into an intermediate. I call its projection representation. Ah, so called because the quicksilver needed to project the original metal is conveniently attached to the lead. Correct. After that, we conditionally attach an additional quicksilver, then project the lead back to the original metal. Sounds like that's just attaching a quicksilver with extra steps. But the projection representation allows us to attach the quicksilver from different directions. The end result is the reactive form of the metal, but with physical orientation indicating the type of metal. Ah, and that's why you call this the reactive representation. Precisely. After that, you can compare the representations in pairs to determine if there's a match. If it's a match, then you increment the counter here by projecting it by one tier. If it's not a match, then the counter is used to make a segment of the output, resetting the counter in the process. Impressive. Well, except that you could probably make a cheaper counter by just rotating the wheel rather than projecting. Also, it seems a bit big. I'm going back to my Opus. Plenty of other work to do, I'm sure. So yeah, this is a lock and key solve. We are going to see if this was one of the more popular algorithms. And also, as Hello Jasper points out, yes, this is less than 2 points lower than Coco 52. So this is the counter. I love the little shuffling they are doing here. What was it? I think Mr. Royal Spade had a solve called lockpicking in at one point. Eighth place. Kazuya, the clock tower of alchemist Kazuya. Tick-tock fellow alchemist, as the reagent's metals soak quicksilver. The leaden clock hand pivots. Soon the reagent becomes gold, and quicksilver passes through to pick up a second clock hand to be swept towards its partner. the two clocks tick in unison, their phase differences telling the tale of which metal they were wound from. They are marked with glyphs of equilibrium near Critelli's roll. If they have the same birth sign, their hands meet across the bundle, and the new hand is moved to storage, continuing to tick there. If they differ, their hands miss one another, and the new is never stored. In this difference, the rest of the machine identifies its task, with bonding and debonding that is not interesting to recount, and in either case, out with the old clock hand and in with the new, the old being elegantly recycled for available lead. This is the most difficult transmutation I have performed in recent memory, by a wide margin, and stretching my cognitive maximum. To find an efficient method and to do it parsimoniously, I believe I have succeeded, but only partially. 7th place perhaps? I take this experience as my punishment for publicizing the pitch drop experiment. To those who experienced it the same way I experienced this one, I can only beg forgiveness. It was publicly postulated that since cycles were cheap and abundant for this task, more algorithms were viable for high performance than if they weren't. I don't claim my machine to be among the best, feel free to heckle me if it is, but these clock hands were sharply better than my other algorithms to the point where the exact weighing of the sum was not on my mind. Measuring metals with the length of quicksilver rods was slow, area intensive, and required reconstituting metals after measuring the rods. The glyph of purification was fast at equality testing, but required much extra machinery and complexity to account for gold, and further complexity in disposing of partial Ravari's wheels, to the point that I could not complete it. Clock hands were nearly as fast as purification, with much less complexity, easier waste handling, and lead was readily available for conditional logic by taking apart yesterday's clock hands. By integrating unusable gold into the clock hands, all waste even makes it to the glyph of disposal. But I don't claim that this hunger for area and overspending is the best algorithm in information alchemy for this task. Wait for better scores to learn the truth. Alchemist Kazuya. Since Hello Jasper is the puzzle author for this week, alright. I think we have looked at this solve enough. So we are going to move on to the next solve. Oh god, this is also long lore. 7th place, Fiesta Land. Really complicated, wasteless, 1p. Yeah, the pileup is happening. By the way, this has 637 words long notes. I hope I hope I don't fumble any. All of our ideas for solving this puzzle started with one common theme: identifying each input metal by attempting to project it 6 times. We felt that purification would be too disruptive, but after that common start, our first idea proceeded in a much different way. We attached all of the extra quicksilvers to a 6-atom stick register and checked to see if the whole construct was the same length as the prior pass. If yes, using 1 quicksilver to increment the counter atom. If not, add the counter atom to the output and use the quicksilver stick to project a new lead atom of the proper metal. Using 1 quicksilver to increment the counter atom. And this idea was quite fast, as the 2 projection stages could run at pseudo period 3, but waving a stick around swept a big chunk of space, and the machinery necessary to handle all of the possible register configurations is quite costly. The first draft clocked in about 2200 with the sum. The idea for our second approach was originally born out of aesthetics. What if we made the register out of a peeled, stickified robotics wheel instead of plain lead? That way the grab point would visually indicate which metal was currently encoded. Cool, right? Almost immediately this raised the question: why not just use a wheel to track machine state? Circles are more area friendly than sticks. There should be less purification to do, since all the metals are present in it already, and there would be a whole lot less initialization to boot. And so our second idea, the progenitor to this solve, was born. The main test here is quite simple, and it involves only a single atom at a time. As follows: if the current atom is quicksilver, increment the counter. If the current atom is metal, output the counter and the current atom, and initialize a new counter. As seen here. This test is easy and cheap to perform. Just place the atom on a projector input with the counter on the other side. The tough part is arranging the conditional so that identical metals will produce quicksilver on subsequent runs. Our brainwave there was to modify the wheel. We already pulled the indicator spoke off the wheel and used that for the output, so why not just replace it with quicksilver and add it back to the queue? So whenever the output machinery pulls an atom off the wheel, it will get quicksilver if it is repeated from before, or metal if it is something new. That didn't quite work as envisioned. The algo falls apart as soon as you see 2 distinct metals and now have a wheel with 2 plus quicksilver atoms on it. No good. But it does work if you modify the next wheel pulled fresh from the input with all 6 metals. That is the bulk of the machinery here is doing. The last challenge then was to figure out how to indicate which metal should be detached. The wheel once again offered us an answer: timing conditionals. If we slowly pivot the wheel 6 times, we just have to toss it into the debonding mechanism when the desired metal is in the right spot. To do that, we return to our very first idea, over projecting the input atoms. As soon as 1 quicksilver spills over, it attaches to the appropriate metal of the modified wheel. The modified wheel is wandered away, attached to the next fresh wheel, and the whole process begins. This idea was not as fast as the stick register, since it can only operate at pseudo period 4. But even the first draft of it was half the cost and 70% of area, clocking in just about 1,500 weighted sum. Massive savings. Some classic Opus Magnum optimization, particularly cost savings on disposal machinery, saved it 400 more, and here we are. Great puzzle, hello Jasper. And yeah, the modified wheel, the wheel modification is very slick. This also reminds me of another Metal Calculus solution by Panic. And Piggy already mentions that Panic's Metal Calculus. Very slick solve. Though we have to move on to the next solve. I hope you are ready for a drop. Sixth place. Calirisis. We jump directly to sub 900. There's no notes as usual. Yeah, this is also the clock hands method, but the thing that is wandered away is things that once is a Quicksilver, a single Quicksilver. And if they match, it projects the hand. If it doesn't, it wants the hand away. And yeah, there's a waist chain, though given how far the disposal is, it was needed probably. This is an incredibly elegant solve. Now the waist chain bonder is needed, I think. All right. At 5th place, John, termed One Day of Work. This is a very similar solve. No, this is yeah. The wheel is the counter. And the pivot axis is the metal. I think this was made at the day this was released. but then he never found anything better, I guess. Well, I mean, this is a difficult puzzle. So yeah, spillover Quicksilver projects the pivot metal, and then it does the clock hands thing here, I think. It does the clock hands thing over this bonder. So when there's the arm 12 pivots the wheel once every input metal, once every input atom, and then when this fails to bond, then it progresses to the next metal. So was lead, tin, now iron, and it works out because sum of every counter atom is 6, so it works out perfectly. Alright, we are going to move on though. Fourth place. Transcendental JPIG. Team by JPIG and Transcendental Guy. This one almost fits on with the default zoom. $71 error. The previous version of this, Keep It Simple Stupid, used an algorithm which created 3 copies of each atom. We figured out early on there's an algorithm you can use which is similar, but instead creates 2 copies and an inverse copy. This one is faster due to needing less Quicksilver, but the setup became much more difficult to manage. Either way, it is working now, so who cares if I don't know how it works anymore. Indeed. Greetings, Transcendental Guy. Apparently. Negative jokers. So yeah, the metal Arm 4 is doing the metal chaos, but it is actually projecting adjacent metals. It is actually carefully projecting the metals such that each positive copy of metal is adjacent. Welcome, Zorpalax. But anyway, if it matches, then projection, then purification happens, and then you can presence absence conditional from there on. And gold is tested with on extra quicksilver here. Oh, and Note says that they, while Note mentions that they failed on other passes all 25 and fails on other cases, there is actually multiple people who passed all 25 but failed on others. Though an older iteration of this had really esoteric fail condition, as I remember. I still don't quite understand how this distinguishes multiple golds in a row, but let's move on. Next solve is actually a host solve. Purify and try to project the input. Okay. Gotcha. The quicksilver stays only if they are equal. I see. Right. Alright. Before we move on to the third place, we have a host solve by yours truly. So yeah, this was the solve I had, and it was made right before approximately right before the puzzle releases. 751, but note that I had about several years. I have more than a year to prepare on this, so this is 1P. Alright. JPip says that the last minute save didn't matter. Alright. So yeah, it is basically the clock hands except with the hexon and bold. Alright. Let's move on to the third place solve though. Sai looks away. Great brain and its consequences between. This was the first approach I tried, and I have been working with this approach for so long, I have become blind to all others. Originally it was too fast for the cost. Thus the name, but then I made it so cheap the G/C/6 ratio is right around the recommended golden ratio. There is an uncomfortable amount of empty space in the instruction page, so going faster is probably the way to do better. The input atom is purified 5 times. The unused quicksilver goes into projecting on lead. Copying the input metal. The first failed purification triggers an atom of quicksilver to be compared to the atom in ARM5. The timings of these quicksilvers encode the type of the input metal and the previous metal. If they arrive simultaneously, the counting metal is iterated. If they arrive at different times, the counting metal and the copy of the previous input are added to the output. So yeah, basically what I did, but at fewer ways. So these are the metal. These encode what metal it is, and then this is the counter, I'm guessing. And then absence presence conditional to know when a counter is done counting. The steady state rate is currently limited by armchair. Alright, at second place. Biggie. No L for you. This is indeed the fastest scoring soul I received. Greetings. Alright. So there are 36 states in the state machine and 6 different reads for 216 different cases to handle. One factor of 6 in the state count is just the counter atom's projection level, and I can do everything I need with that atom directly without any conversion, so long as I can put it back safely on the lead input as a conditional. The next factor of 6 is the metal previously read, which needs to be stored within the machine in some converted way. Using the original metal alone is kind of useless, as we cannot read it without destroying it. I previously had built multiple copies of the original, which took a lot of quicksilver and waste, and still didn't make the rest of the problem easy, since you can't purify gold and gold with each other. After thinking a bit longer, I took a page out of Kelly Reese's implementation of lock and key from Haptic, and encoded the value in the number of pivots on a stick. The original metal is the center, and one quicksilver is the appendage, sticking out at a different angle for each possibility. With this conversion, it is much simpler to solve the remainder of the problem, which is just a bunch of bonding conditionals. The main challenge was then figuring out the target speed and cost to optimize for this method. The cost being taken at full weight suggests that cheap is the highest priority, but the vast number of distinct actions mean that minimizing cost is not the way. I ended up selecting 24 cycles for each atom read, and then building around that to go as cheap as I could at that rate. For one last simplifying tactic, I flipped the input and output backwards, so that the left edge of the output corresponds to the last atoms added rather than the first. By appending the atom type before the counter, this is equivalent to the original problem, without any challenge finding the output hole legally. 6p saves area mostly, but also allowed some initializing cycle savings. Wait a second. Discord.exe application audio capture discord.exe. I think I've added the Discord audio capture. Can you?
Okay. Do you want to tell me in chat if you can hear me? Hello, chat. I don't know how much stream delay I have to wait for until I see someone pop in, but yay, they can see. All right. So I was saying to Hexton when I jumped in that as the area count was dropping like well below 100, I figured that my solution was probably not competitive anymore, because where I had picked up all of my cycles, I still lost 100 area on the last few solutions. So this weighted sum felt like don't optimize area, or don't ignore area, just optimize it last. So I was really just going for a cycles and cost trade-off, and I did not want to go particularly slow because I am a cycles brain individual. But yeah, this is just basically a cheap version of the lock and key stuff that we've seen from a few other submitters. I think it was, oh gosh, I couldn't tell you how far back. I remember definitely Kazian did it, but it might have also been Cuckoo52 who I'd said in the comments as their solve came up like, oh, this looks familiar. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how much improved a solution can get from here. So congrats to who beat me on this computation puzzle.
Would you believe if it goes down 50 points?
Yes, I would. That's a lot of area that I could definitely have saved if I thought about area most.
All right. Congratulations for the first place, Evermo.
Evanov as a sum main on this particular metric. Okay, this is really cheap too.
Yeah. This is in fact the cheapest soul period.
Yeah, it cycles over 6, so you can get away with going up to about 5x cycles over cost, and this is doing pretty much that. Oh, this looks really cool. Ooh, who is in chat, or Albatross, or Nancy B. Drew, or however many of the names you are in chat saying that their 300G solve is getting into the showcase, perhaps.
Ah, alright.
So let's look at how Ebanov managed. I mean, the balance on the metrics is one thing. This seems to be doing very similar to the other timing-based Quicksilver on the output solves. It's just not using sticks and spinning like Magnum because that takes up way too much area.
I just love how clean it uses the purification. The gold is encoded with a molecule instead of a single gold atom, so there's no problem doing that.
Okay, I see a little better now. Yeah.
Maybe
is there any notes for this to help I understand?
Evan writes.
Okay, cool.
Purify basic. State of current pair is on molecule with content on right on purifier and count next to Critelli. And gold is represented as reactive silver. One atom takes 42 cycles to process. Arm 1 pulls quicksilver from the projection overflow station if new atom is gold, or not gold and equals to previous pair. The quicksilver wants previous gold to purification output, so arm 2 grabs if new atom is equal to previous pair. These two molecules, current pair plus 1 minus current pair plus 1 quicksilver, or silver quicksilver quicksilver, shadow quicksilver on Critelli atom, Critelli station, which projects the current count atom. Arm 2 then pivots to isolate the gold case's waste silver. Then Arm 3 swings the non-gold equal case's purified metal to overflow station. At this point, a pair needs to be outputted if a metal is still on purification station. Arm 2 brings it to the count atom and do a post-processing debond project to turn silver quicksilver back to gold. This quicksilver detour takes a while, but being able to unify the gold-gold case and non-gold equal case is very useful to reduce the travel count atom. Before I found this detour, it needs to be projected in different places and then converged to suppress the lead input.
Yeah, this is close to, like, it's not min glyphs obviously because there's two of a few things, but this is really economical with its glyph usage, and this is kind of the only algorithm that allows that. Because mine had a lot of different stations where you needed separate. Sorry for the unblocked sneeze. A lot of stations where you needed separate purifiers or projectors, I mean, and separate bonders and debonders. This is a really, like, I know that the title is a little bit disparaging of the layout, but this is a really good layout, and this way of solving the problem is really, like, it's a clear winner. It's so good.
It doesn't even need duplication. This is the purified atom is just reused as a template to recover the information from the previous one.
Yeah, I did realize that basically using the same idea as steel wool inversion, you could downgrade a purification output so that you wouldn't have to clone anything. But the gold problem was still hard in that situation. Like, basically the lock and key encoding was my only elegant solution to the problem where gold is kind of different than all the other metals in this puzzle. But Ebenov's silver plus quicksilver stick is a really good solution to that problem that I just overlooked completely. Yeah, I really am glad that the metric choice here was tested out for the weeklies. Like, this is a different metric for computation, but it has a very elegant output of its best solutions. Like, this is something that wouldn't win on the old W sum, but it would. I mean, it did win on this W sum, and it's a really cool style.
Yeah, agreed. Jasper also says in the chat that this is exactly what he wanted to see from this metric.
At some point, we will have Sophic Mercury of computation, where we have to map out an entire cycles cost frontier on a computation puzzle. I'm sure this is going to go very well, and everyone will enjoy it.
All right. So that was all the scoring solves. Are we seeing the showcases first or the next puzzle first?
Well, I am around for describing my speed solve, but at the same time, if I am in the middle of doing a speed solve, I will not be very useful in describing my speed solve for the previous puzzle.
All right, then we can look at the showcases first. I think this is it.
So yeah, the showcases will include one that you said, or that JPIV said you could skip, which was a small last minute improvement on theirs. It'll have my speed solve, and it'll have Pooh or Albatross or you or Nancy B. Drew's unfinished solve. But yeah, if you just go next puzzle first, I'll speed solve it as well as I can, and you'll be on your own. I left notes.
All right.
Because I don't want to buck tradition just so that I can talk about a less optimized version of a solve. Oh yeah, Bread's also in chat saying that her solve is among the showcases.
All right, I'm going to show the next puzzle first. Then is that okay?
Yeah.
Alright. Ornamental plating.
Oh, okay. I'll hop off the stage so that I don't say anything accidentally while speed solving.
Alright.
But I'll be back if it's possible to talk about myself.
Alright. This is by Mira. One of the technically she's one of the this is a host puzzle. Anyway, the metrics are cycles, then cost multiplied by area. That's metric 1. And cost instructions cycles is metric 2. That's it. The puzzle is live in 3, 2, 1, now. So this is the puzzle. And yeah. All right. I'm re-downloading the puzzle set. All right. So for the first showcase, actually I need to do this. Rejection representation. By Mr. Piozo. Who else? Besides proliferation being able to duplicate metals, there were other attempts in using reductive metallurgy glyphs to solve the puzzle with a phonetic score. This machine demonstrates how you could use rejection instead of projection. After making these initial intermediates, the rest of the solve would be basically the same as a normal submission, with the added bonus of not having gold waste, nor needing a lead input. I see. This is just a demonstration, I see. Quantum track for the to indicate the long clock hand, I think. The minute hand CPU. lead points here, tin points here, etc., etc., etc. Proliferator's Paradise. With proliferation, you can easily use purification to check if there is a match. Well, except that you still need to check for a gold match separately. Proliferation does give you an easy way to duplicate the metals. Alright. Proliferation basically, if there's a metal atom here, and Quicksilver is fed to the one of the irises, then the other receptacle duplicates the metal. Alright. We have seen rejection, proliferation, and now we are going to see deposition. Dabbling with deposition.
Alright, speed solve is done. I can look at this game again.
Besides proliferation being able to duplicate metals, there were other attempts at using reductive metallurgy glyphs to solve the puzzle with a good metric score. This machine demonstrates one of the ideas I was playing around with. You can change the rotation of the Rabari wheel inputs to try different sets of combinations. The idea is to use deposition to first divide a metal into an upper and a lower half. If you use two purifications to compare it to the upper and lower halves of another metal, then the two metals will match precisely if both purifications succeed. This allows gold to be processed the same as other metals. Well, except now you need to special case the lead atoms a little bit. Thankfully, lead can be moved directly to the output of the purification, and everything gets handled correctly with little fuss. Wait a sec. So yeah, this is from a pair of lead, pair of tin, pair of iron, pair of copper, pair of silver, and pair of gold. This is just a demonstration. There's no input, there's no input placed intentionally.
Yeah, there's 2 Rivari's wheels though, which is interesting. I guess Mr. Puzzle could have created the solution with the mod that lets you freely place more inputs, but then you're viewing it without that mod, so it's grayed out. I'm just so used to if this mod's enabled that I can see extra inputs just always available to place. Reactive metallurgy glyphs are very visually satisfying. They did a great job with the aesthetic design.
Agreed. Alright. Biggie, you are just in time for explaining your speed solve.
Nice. So yeah, this sort of placed towards the very end of the submitter list. It was like 5,500 weighted sum, but I persevered. I wanted to get this particular version of the solution done, even if it killed me. It's probably going to kill your computer. It's
Yeah, it is
1p, but the first thing that it does is it uses steel wool negative to inverse the input into 2 copies of the inverse, and then it inverts those 2 copies to make 4 of the original input. So a lot of the people I saw doing copies of the input were using Rivari's wheel to make copies, but this one's using steel wool negative to make copies.
Why?
And it's just what came to mind first. I thought speed solving would be just like go with your first thought and proceed, but it took 90 minutes, and about 45 minutes in, I was seriously regretting my choice. But anyway, because it's using steel wool negative's approach, it has a ton of spare quicksilver, so I can just yoink one of them to determine whether or not there's a gold. And that meant that I only ever needed 2 copies, and the 4 copies I made, 2 of them get discarded as waste chain, which is funny. This is just like a really poorly designed solve. Eventually, probably 1,000 cycles in, you'll get to see it do some conditionals with the Rivari's wheel to select which output is the it's basically it's pivoting Rivari's wheel as the counter, and it's using Quicksilver to copy atoms, which is the opposite of the smart way a lot of people did it, where they used Rivari's wheel as the duplicator and then Quicksilver to upgrade the counter. Yeah, if you ask me to solve this puzzle as quickly as possible, my first thoughts are not the best thoughts, but I can persevere. Imagine making a speed solve with 4,500 instructions.
Was it all hand coded?
Yes. Well, I mean, there's copy pastes, but yes. I never used an external editor for this. I did use speedup mod, which could be considered a non-pure speed solve. Like, if I could have done this in the base game, it would have been much slower because I couldn't debug it as easily. But no, seeing how poorly your computer is running on this, I am so sorry. Like, mine was a little bit more performant, but not a ton. It could run at the 2x speed up, like the 2 clicks up speed up, much faster than ordinary, and this one looks like it's about that speed just because it's limited by like CPU. Oh, also, this was before I figured out that you could place the output backwards and just read the input backwards. So I have to figure out where the hole is by using an arm that's positioned way off to the left there that grabs at each possible starting point of the stick. I could have even just skipped every second one because that's how it works, but I didn't because this is a speed solve. The waste sheet at the top has all of the extra copies of the inputs that just never get used, plus a potential purification output. And then there's the Rivari wheels discards at the bottom. Anyway, yeah, this was a mistake. Thank you for showing it.
I'm going to cut this short before my computer explodes.
Thank you.
So since I never... Wait a second, since I never... I'm also just noticing that I messed up messed up because there's apparently placements. There's apparent placements are still active in the showcase, but whatever. All right, next. Avenger Ruler Skyhawk. What's a computation? All right. Yeah, what's a computation? Am I right? Note says, Skyhawk, this is how I found out test case 20 was the same as test case 1. Yeah, whoops. But anyway, we're gonna move on. This is your soap. Oh, Jesus. I have only tested on the sample input made in about 3 to 4 hours of coding, plus time spent theorizing. This could likely be made quite a lot faster with 1 or 2 more well-placed bounds. This is chugging pretty hard. This is 1072.8 points. That's what my calculator says. Oh, Jesus. the instruction map is extremely long, okay? So very compact. This looks like an area salt. Ah. You says you had to 6p it because it builds a stick at the beginning. I see. No idea if other people used a similar technique because I wasn't watching the stream. I see. Yeah, I feel this is really unique. Yeah. Same. So stick is the storage, I guess. Ah. It gets debonded if the next atom is different. It stays on the stick if the next atom is a match. I see. So I guess this is the end of the this was the last showcase soap that I was given. There was Transcendental JPIP's soap, but they told me not to show it so. Alright, thanks for having me. And sure. JPIP. No problems. JPF says they can talk about it if I want. Well, do you want to talk about it too? Greetings.
I decided I wanted to jump because I do notice. So I remember Biggie mentioned that she did use the reverse method, but I didn't think she actually did because she mentioned she reversed it, but then reversed it again.
Right.
The atoms. I think this is the only one that actually does it. So we create. This is very similar to the previous solution we had, which created 3 copies. But this one does 2 copies in reverse, but it uses the reverse to compare to the reverse of the next one. And it's just slightly faster. Now, the only too different from the actual solve shown in the stream, it's just a little speedier due to some loop shavings. But I just wanted to explain how the reversing was being used because I thought it was a very cool algorithm being able to do that because it only takes 2 Quicksilver to create 2 copies in reverse, whereas to create 3 copies, you need 3 Quicksilver.
Right.
So, I thought it was cool. Either way, you don't need to actually start showing the whole loop thing, because it's still basically the same solve.
Alright. Well then, I guess I can wrap this up here. This metal chaos thing is really cool though. And yeah, thank you for having me. I'll see you. Actually, I have no idea who the next host is, but it's probably me. So see you next week. Making the timing of ARM 4 was. Making the timing of ARM 3 was worse than ARM 4. Wait a sec. Your showcase? I did not receive anything. No. Oh well. If you can send it, you can send it my way, and I'll show it. I'll just do a quick showcase, maybe. Why does it never show? Wait a second. Huh. I don't know what is happening. Ah. No, wait, this isn't it. This isn't it. I have problems getting it to show. Pressing F10. I don't know why it is not showing here. Sorry about the. No, it is. It is. I have it in my in the solutions folder, but it is not showing. Did you use it? Did you use an external editor or something like that? Well, all right. Wait a second. Well, I can't get it to show. Sorry about that. Some custom marker grid. Oh, all right. All right. No worries. Well, still. So this is the next week's puzzle. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for having me, and see you next time.